So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone SE 3 pre-impressions video, not first impressions, pre-impressions, which means I'm speculating that we're going to see the iPhone SE 2020 make its return. Based on the research I've done, I've read like thousands of websites already. They're all basically saying the same thing. We're going to see the iPhone SE 2020 come back with an A15 Bionic chipset, 5G. You could check out this event tomorrow on the Apple website, or you'll be able to watch it on YouTube. This is not sponsored. I just want to let you know because a lot of you guys do love Apple products here on this channel. And you can go ahead and check that out. I'll be tuning in as well, and I'll pick it up and we'll review it here for the channel. But I want to give you my speculations, my thoughts on this phone coming up here. Now, pricing, a lot of them are saying $299, according to what I've been reading. I don't see that happening, but there is a chance. I think Apple's going to keep it at $399. It's going to have 5G, so that's going to be the excuse to keep it there. Or it might even go to $349. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if it goes there to that price point. Now, in terms of the overall, design and stuff like that, I would hope they would bring a larger iPhone to this segment, because a lot of Android phones in this segment are larger than the iPhone SE 2020. But again, this is the entry-level iPhone. If you want larger, you can go to the iPhone 11, something like that. So I don't think we're going to see a larger one, but if we do see a larger one, it may be in the form of something like an 8 Plus, or maybe the resurrection of the iPhone XR. That's kind of a reach, but yeah, I think we're going to see these smaller 4.7 inch designs right here coming up tomorrow as well. Now, I say that these phones have the legacy of the iPhone 6, 6S, the iPhone 7, as well as the iPhone 8 over here, which is not a bad thing. These were volume sellers. These phones sold extremely well. A lot of people still use some of those devices. Let me know if you're one of them down below in the comments. So these can be great upgrades coming up for those of you. And if you have this phone, you might even want to do the upgrade just for the chipset. I do think that Apple sticking with this design is slightly a mistake though, because even though they'll sell like maybe 10 to 20% of their whole iPhone sales will probably come from this upcoming SE3, I think it's a missed opportunity. I think they could recycle the iPhone XR's design and usher in a ton more sales, because with an iPhone XR design, you'll have a bigger iPhone at an entry-level price point. I think that's a better recipe for much more sales. And definitely, I do see that this one will bring in a lot, but I don't know. I just kind of wish they would bring the iPhone XR back and make that be the iPhone SE, because that phone also had a single camera, and that phone also had a bigger, better screen. In addition to that, it will give you a bigger overall battery capacity, which is something a lot of people care about today in today's market. The screen on these phones are at LCD 4.7 inch. So if I'm going to give my pre-impressions on this, I got to say that I still like these screens. They have 16:9 aspect ratio. So they're pretty decently wide enough to read and get your content out on here and see it and stuff. And they're sharp enough. I still like them. They're LCD, and you see only OLED on a lot of phones today. So it would be kind of special to this line to continue to keep the LCD, but there's nothing overly special about the actual resolution. It's only 326 ppi. It's nothing like super sharp like some of these newer 2K phones, even like the iPhone Pros. It's nothing like those. So, but I mean, you don't expect it to be there. At the same time, there are Android phones in this segment that do have OLED displays. So there's also some rumors pointing towards Apple keeping the Touch ID, but also maybe implementing a Face ID, which would make this phone the first iPhone with Face ID and Touch ID. I don't think that would happen, but if it does, that would be super cool. It'd be super unique to have Face ID and Touch ID. And I could be wrong on any of this stuff I'm saying here. We'll just have to see if I was wrong tomorrow. But I'm guessing they're going to have the Touch ID, and they're going to just not put Face ID on here. But if they do put Face ID, I think there's a potential they get rid of Touch ID. I don't know. I don't see them putting it too biometric security on one cheaper iPhone. Why would they do that on the cheapest iPhone and not put it on their higher end iPhone? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, performance is where the iPhone SE 2020 I think is still amazing at A13 Bionic. I have no issues with how this performs. And believe it or not, I still see a lot of these type of phones circulating around in the public. You see a lot of, iPhone 13 Pro videos, 13 Pro Max, but in reality, in the real world, I see a ton of these like older iPhones. Like people are still using these things. So definitely I could see where Apple still sees the market for these. They're definitely quite a bit people still using these types of phones, and I do know they will sell a ton, even if, you know, us tech enthusiasts aren't super hyped on this design anymore. So yeah, performance really good, really reliable. A15 Bionic is coming to these phones, and these have 3 gigs of RAM. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to the iPhone 13's 4 gigs of RAM and upping that from 3 here on the 2020 SE. So I do believe that the camera will be somewhat of a good experience coming up on this phone, and they're probably going to do some software tricks to make it even better, like they did with the SE 2020. The 2020 SE had a really good camera, even though it was a single lens. It's a great starter iPhone camera. It could still do 4K at 60 frames per second. It still has that amazing focus you're used to from iPhone, so I don't see this being very bad. They could do some upgrades to the front-facing camera to make it a little bit better. You know, you couldn't do 4K on the front of the SE 2020, so that could be a nice upgrade here. I would say overall, though, that this might be one of the sore points when you compare it to one of the higher end iPhones, and it's something that if you get this phone, you'll probably want to upgrade in the future to a phone with better cameras. Also, wouldn't be surprised if they bring this camera to maybe the 13 main sensor. That could be an option as well. All right, guys, so one of the sore points for the SE 2020 was always for me the battery life. It was always something that I had to charge middle of the day, and while I still love this classic design here, I gotta say the battery is a letdown. The iPhone minis are better on battery than this phone, and these are some of the smallest batteries you're gonna get. But again, they still feel sleek, they still feel nice, but you gotta suffer with that smaller battery. So I'd like to see an improvement here. I hope Apple's A15 efficiency, as well as newer iOS updates and maybe a slightly larger battery, will give this maybe an hour better battery life. Or storage options should remain at 64 gigs to start. I don't see them starting these at 128, but that is a potential. You know, but the 128 starting would raise the price. So I see them continuing to keep the 64 gigs around. And so that's pretty much it. I mean, we're going to have better chip in here, better phone call reception. That's going to be a huge update over this, having the newer Qualcomm modems in here. In addition to that, I do believe that there are some wildcard suggestions. We might see, I'm really reaching here. I don't think it's going to happen, but we might see an 8 Plus version of this. I want to see that. Like, that would be amazing. A larger version, bring back the 8 Plus, or even better, like I say, resurrect the iPhone XR and call that the SE. There's probably going to be a new color. Some are saying it's going to be the same red, white, and black, but we'll see. But I think Apple might throw a new color in. They usually throw in a new color, let you know that's the newer phone. So we'll see about that. I think there might be a new color. In conclusion, I don't think these phones upcoming are exciting for us tech enthusiasts. However, but for those of you who are not tech enthusiasts, and this is targeted per se at the entry level, it's meant to appeal to the lower end of the smartphone market. People who necessarily look at iPhone and say, I'm not buying that. I don't got the means to buy that right now, or I'm not paying that for an iPhone. It's for that user who wants to get into the iPhone, but they're just not willing to pay $1,000 for an iPhone. That's not them. This is going to be the phone for you if you want an Apple iPhone. Also, for those Android users who just are tired of the lags, delays, whatever, they just don't like those low-end Android phones. They're too slow. They want faster iOS performance. They want updates, and they want to pay those Android prices. I'm talking the lower-end Android prices. They'll go ahead and pick up this SE. This phone basically has the same mission as 2020 SE. The upcoming 2022 SE has the same mission as this one. It's the entry level. And there are Android phones on the market. This is an A72. Phones like this, they give you triple cameras. They give you large screens, OLEDs, for around the same or if not cheaper prices sometimes. But what they don't offer you is that long, consistent software support, those blazing fast high-end chips, and that's really the strong suit. You're paying for a phone that's going to last, regardless if it doesn't look like all the latest and greatest. Personally, I'd still like to see them update the design on these SC3s, but it's looking like this is what we're going to see. Let me know your thoughts on the upcoming event from Apple tomorrow. Are you going to check it out? If you are, what do you expect to see? What do you want to see? And there's probably also going to be some 27-inch Mac Mini Pro. There might be a MacBook surprise. We'll have to see. There's going to be a lot of Apple products tomorrow, but this is likely what we're going to see in the SE camps. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in an upcoming SE3 review if this is what you're into. Also, we have continuing coverage on the S22, S22 Plus, and S22 Ultra, so be subscribed for that. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.